One key issue for both brands and publishers is how can we create a sustainable native ecosystem that brands and publishers can benefit from. Trust are essential. Trust from the brand side and trusting the publishers that they understand storytelling, but they also understand the messaging from the brand's perspective. And the publisher are equally dependent on trust from the brands because they need to tell their stories. They need to tell great stories to their audience, and they can't be hampered or hindered by too much of the corporate type of language or to a narrow mindset in terms of what works for a certain platform. So that's really important that the brands learn to trust publishers and that publishers learn to trust brands. In my experience and what I think came up during this panel that I was moderating is that knowledge sharing and sharing expertise and sharing what happens within technology, what happens within the development of certain, that's really key. So it's important for both brands and publishers to be very astute into sharing knowledge, sharing best practices, expanding on what works, but also conferences like this, like the Native Advertising Days or the website for the Native Advertising Institute can play a huge role in creating knowledge and knowledge sharing that benefits both parties. A couple of the key things that brands and publishers can learn from each other is to understand the right platform, because every platform in native advertising, every publisher's site or ecosystem is unique, and it's really important for publishers to be very clear about what works on their platform or platforms, and for the brands to actually pay attention to this and adapt their message to that, or allow the publishers to do great storytelling. Another key point that came up during the panel was the importance of setting the right expectations. Brands at times they expect too much from one piece of native content, and that's not realistic. You can't have one piece of content building the brand and converting into sales or creating a thought leadership presence. You have to manage your expectations, and you have to have realistic expectations. And that's something that publishers can teach brands, but brands also have to teach publishers what is the most important for them. What are the KPIs or what are the goals that they're actually trying to accomplish? There were quite a few interesting takeaways from the panel that I moderated, and one that stood out in particular is how important it is for publishers to train their sales staff to actually understand what selling native or what native advertising entails. It's not the same as selling display, and how they can work together in terms of native editors can work together with the sales staff to teach the brands and to manage expectations. But that's, I think, one of the key things for a successful partnership between brands and publishers, that it's sold the right way, native is sold the right way.